Ah! I'm not sure what my settings were. I think it was something like that. Anyway, I had to unplug my microphone earlier, and now it's fucked. Alright, let's see. Okay. That should be right. Don't hear any music. Maybe I restart it. Very good. Very cool. Don't hear anything. I have to do this. What's going on? Alright, hold on. Winamp doesn't work. Jesus Christ. Okay, so now it works. What about that? That also works. Is there no difference there anymore? There's one called output and one called AUX output, and I don't know which one is the right one. But we seem to have audio there. That's good. Nope, nope, nope. That's... Why do I have volume in here? Default device, yeah. And how can I have how can I have audio when Voicemeeter is turned off? I'm so confused. Well, it seems to work anyway, so who gives a shit? Who knows if it works well? I still don't have any audio here. Incredible. There we go. Finally. Now we're gonna jump into the hole.
Yes?
Though I'm a little bit confused, because I loaded and I kind of showed my parents a little bit, just to illustrate how our game would be. And I noticed that these souls kind of respawned. So, do I have to go and grab the souls again? I think so, but... See if we die. A great pit lies in the shadow of the statue of Boudica. No light from the surface reaches the bottom, but even so you catch flickers of a ghostly glow in the depths. A wind from the pit buffets you. It isn't cold, but it raises goose flesh. It raises goose flesh along your arms. Is that what you call it? Goose flesh? The wind carries a whisper, low and sibilant. As you look into the pit, souls gather around you. They encase you in a cloud of essence that swirls around your body while you consider your next move. Jump into the pit. The sudden drop takes your breath away, but the souls catch you, encasing you in a shining, thrumming aura. But while they slow your descent, you can still feel that you are falling faster than you should. The essence flowing around you is strong but chaotic. You find yourself drifting toward the wall. Pallegina falls with you for a moment, but seems oddly buoyant during her slow descent, feathers fluttering silently along her arms and the sides of her face. Suddenly her golden eyes glow wide and she shouts out, "Look out, Robin, the wall!" Take control of the souls to guide yourself to safety. Concentrating, you focus on the essence around you and knit it together in your mind. What was a jumble of souls becomes a single entity, coordinated and purposeful. It steers you to safety at the center of the pit. You manage to spread your arms and legs into an X, steadying your position and the rate of your descent. You reach the court of the penitents. Millennia-old stones safely under your feet. Your party is considered high level for the content in Act 4. If you would like, the critical path can be increased in difficulty to give you more of a challenge. Fuck off. I have regretted that every single time. I know we're super over-leveled, but it's just such a shit system.
Your rapid descent comes to an abrupt end. You remain still for a moment while your heart settles and your eyes adjust, breathing in stale, forgotten air. Before you, a narrow and eroded walkway becomes faintly visible in the dim light, cutting a winding path through a cavern so expansive it seems a world unto itself. In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath. Their glow a faint and fleeting guide along the ancient trail. You look above at the opening you jumped through, now barely a speck of light like some distant star alone in the cosmos and forever out of reach. Your only way lies ahead.
Well, that went better than I expected.
Think I dislocated my... That's better.
Everyone all right? No shattered knees? Good. Just me then.
All right, so you're hobbled for the rest of the dungeon? No, it's not. A millennium's worth of dust fills the cracks and crevices of this skeletal relief. Spectre. Hello, Spectre. Level 10. Yeah. Stormcaller. 10% chance to cast Returning Storm on hit. 20 to 30 shock damage if successful, stunned for 3 seconds. Oh, it also has -6 damage reduction versus shock. I assume that is applied when you hit with the shock. Really good. Rest in the lair of a sky dragon. Could have done that before we went in, but whatever. At this point, it's kind of like, who cares? Let's just finish it. I'm still upset about the white march though. Completely ruins the entire game. But now I know that, and now I never have to replay it.
Certainly.
Slowly now.
Animats. Oh, I can also do that now. Yeah. Apply another burn damage on them.
This thing is doing the job.
Weak against lightning. The ancient Adra still bears the impression of the 1,000 souls broken upon it. Your soul burns with remembered suffering. Morning Star. Did that heal my health, Wolf? It.
I'm ready.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Stop killing him. The pillar tugs at your essence. A pulse from the world itself moves through it.
I'm here.
I've got this. It's done.
Healing everywhere? Don't remember that. Column Nevada rises above you, stoic and silent. Its ridged layers a measuring stick for the passing of ages. It feels to you as a thick block of ice, and you perceive buried deep in its core a dim flickering flame, all but extinguished, yet preserved against the ravages of the elements. At your approach, the flame seems to steady and draw strength, and the layers separating it from you melt away. And you are bathed in its glow, a bright beacon in the gloom. The glow seems to fade as though you had adjusted to its intensity. Where it was, Iovara seeps into existence, an idyllic shade hovering above the moist prison floor. Though ageless, she appears somehow different to you now. A slight stoop to her carriage, perhaps, or a trace of sunkenness in her eyes. There is a broad scar across her face, fibrous and wormy, where flames once lapped, unhealed, even in death.
You've come back. I had thought to have set you on the right path ages ago. Or did I merely fail a second time?
She shakes her head, troubled.
You are so different now from who you were then, yet much remains the same. Old troubles with a new face. What is it that has brought you here?
It would seem that I have unfinished business here.
I'd hoped after our last discussion you would find what you sought. Has it eluded you all this time? I can only guess your presence here has something to do with Theos. The energy of this place changes when he is near. I don't know what he has done, but I do know of the souls that pass through here now. They do not come by choice.
Theos diverted them from the cycle. He seeks to empower Woodika, and to blame Animancy for the damage he has caused.
After all this time, he would still stand against the tide.
She shakes her head. You knew me when Theos did. There's something I need to know about that time.
I will tell you what I remember.
There's something about that lifetime my soul can't let go of. I need to know what it is, and I am running out of time. I see moments from that life, of you, the Inquisition, of Theos.
I can see his influence, still hanging like a weight about your neck. So it always was. He had inspired something in you. We spoke of him the last time you were here also. It was just after the trial. You were agitated. I think because you started to consider that what I was teaching may have been true.
And what was that? Iovara's mouth tightens and her brow furrows, a look of pity. Her eyes shift back and forth between each of yours, as if looking for something that would help her decide whether to speak.
That the gods aren't real.
Alegina throws her head back and laughs gleefully. Ha 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 ha, of course not! It all makes sense now.
I'd dreaded the idea from the moment the Delimgon suggested it. And yet, it almost feels like a relief.
Alof gives a bitter, dry laugh.
She's not serious.
Perhaps not to her. Many are those whom the gods have scorned. This is petty retribution.
That doesn't seem possible.
Nani narrows her eyes.
What I taught was that the gods whose faith we had been spreading were not gods at all, but something else entirely. Something created by people.
Who created these gods, and for what?
They were conceived by Engwyth, a society of high minds and broad concerns. Theos' people. In their time, every people worshipped its own gods. Sometimes they warred over it. After a few wars of their own, the Engwythans sought an end to it. They devoted all their energy to finding the true creators. Generation after generation, they prodded and worked the stitching of the world and unlocked its secrets. One day, they found an answer. Except the answer was no answer at all. There were no gods to be found. Or if there ever were, they were gone. It shook them, this finding. If they could discover this on their own, how long until others would? How long before war and chaos reigned over a world without consequence? But they had mastered many things in their pursuit of these answers. And with their mastery, they crafted their own gods to fill the void, and sent missionaries to the corners of the world to spread their faith.
This is why you started your own faith?
I never thought of it as faith, but I think you are right to call it that. Let the world see. Let them decide what to do. That was my faith. I became a missionary because the gods brought me hope that I wanted to bring to others. For a time, the truth sent me to a dark place. Then the day came when I realized nothing had changed, that I still had a purpose, and the purpose was the same and it was worth living for. I began questioning the other missionaries in public, exposing their parlor tricks. In time, their following became mine.
How did you discover this?
The Nguithan missionaries all knew it, but they never told the rest of us. They meant it to be a secret that died with them, and in the end, they allowed their bloodlines to fade from memory. I had been assigned to join a few of them at a temple. I found the door to their chambers closed, but the room was stone and the door thin. Their voices carried. I heard enough. I investigated the things they spoke of, and everything was there, just as they said it'd be.
Later on, after I left the Order, a few Nguithans found my words persuasive and joined my cause. They revealed what I did not already know. Is it true, what you taught?
You asked me this once before. Nothing I can say would be any proof, and it may be certainty your soul craves. Resolution. But if you are bound for the same place Theos directs these souls, you will see for yourself, as you once did. Everyone faces this truth at one time or another. Few confront it. Few have the stomach to ask what if. And in avoiding the question, they deny themselves an identity of their own.
Yevara scans her audience in silence, her eyes thoughtful, lingering on each member of your company in turn, finding interesting things unseen.
What if all the tragedy, all the persecution, came in defense of an imposter?
That can't be right. Aethys, he's done miracles for people.
The power of the gods is undeniable. The truth of the story they weave is not. What if it were forbidden knowledge rather than fault that earned your doom? What of your guilt?
She turns her attention to Durance.
I have seen with my own eyes the deceptions of my goddess. The Watcher has shown me as much. But it was not until now that I understood how truly desperate she was. The depths of her deception.
You speak of her deceptions, but what of your own? Was it her words that led you down your path? Or was it the absence of her words? A gap that you filled with your own broken thoughts?
Beads of sweat coalesce on Durance's forehead and trickle down the sides of his face in streaming rivulets, as though he were a block of ice standing before a great pyre.
What if you had always been alone, without guidance?
Her eyes settle on Aloth.
Well, as poorly as I've chosen my guides, I suppose it would be a comfort to know that I'm free of them.
Aloth folds his hands behind his back, furrowing his brow.
The freedom has always been. It was the guidance that was the illusion. What if our burdens come to us not because they are meant to be, but because they happen to be?
All the more reason to cast them off. We have no guarantees beyond this life. Better to enjoy our days while we can.
What if even mastery over all things cannot answer the most basic of questions?
I stopped asking those questions long ago. It is enough to care for those we love with the time we have in this life.
To feel the weight of Eovara's translucent eyes upon your soul. What if we can be assured of nothing? Then the only value is in the things we create ourselves.
Verus, we find purpose in ourselves and in the people in our lives.
There is bliss to be found in the things we create, but sorrow as well. Every creation bears the imperfections of its creator, and its creator's creator. Art and song are creations, but so are weapons and lies. We must be careful that our creations do not consume us. I ask these things not to trouble you, but to show why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful, not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it?
Right. Neighbor's dog started barking. I lost track of what she said. I ask these things not to trouble you, but to show you why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it? We do. Even without assurances, there is still truth.
If that is truly what you believe, then you are a far different person than the one I knew. I've been alone here with my thoughts for so long now. I've found peace with my failures, and with my punishment. I no longer curse fate for what might have been. But there is one thing that has clawed and scraped at my mind all these years. One thing that will not be put to rest until I know. Until I understand.
For the first time, hints of doubt raised her serene visage.
I need to know why you chose to remain with the Inquisition, even after you'd learned the truth. Do you remember?
As she asks, the memory springs to your mind immediately, as though it had just happened. So, I don't know. I can't, again, I've said this many times, but these choices for your past life make no sense. It makes no sense. Like, the idea here is that you write your backstory, but it makes no sense. Because it's not my backstory, it's my previous life's backstory. And I don't know that character. And nobody plans two characters in advance to have like any idea what this character is, especially since you don't really understand that this is you that you're talking about until like the very end of the game, when you've done like multiple of these choices already. It's so weird. Sorry, there are no assurances. Eovara looks at you with the face of one condemned. Her mouth moves, but she speaks no words. Her eyes glaze, focused no longer on you, but on some invisible crushing vision before her. Did my opinion matter so much to you?
We knew little of each other before you arrived at my camp. You might have been anybody, which is why your choice meant everything. You had heard both sides, seen everything. If not you, then who?
The game already made a choice for me as well there. Like, I already betrayed her. So, I get to make certain choices, but I don't get to make, like, the important choices. So, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just weird. You're never going to be able to convince everyone of anything, true or not. There will always be dissent.
I expected dissent, but I needed to know that true faith would prevail. Perhaps I've been wrong to place so much importance on one person's actions. It was all I could do to feel like there was an answer. You denied me a chance to know your reasons. And even if you hadn't, some part of me would always know it didn't truly answer what I wished to know, nor will an eternity of silent contemplation. I will have only my guesses and suspicions, and that will have to do. And what of your understanding of our past? Are you at ease with the choice you made?
It wasn't me who made that choice. I bear no responsibility for it.
At first I thought this might be the source of your soul's anguish, but now I see I was mistaken. You are not divided on this matter. You have put it behind you. It is with Theos that your agony lies, in sun and shadow. Your questions are not for me, but for him. And it may be that only an answer from the mouth of Theos himself will satisfy your needs. Yet if there is anything I can tell you that would be of use, ask and you shall know.
Are you bound here until the end of time?
In a matter of speaking. This is Braeth Yamen, the court of the penitents. Souls are confined here until they repent. They must beg the forgiveness of a god, pledge their soul to them, and they will be lifted from this place to the world above. In truth, they receive leniency, but not true mercy. The spite of Woedica is eternal. They linger above, at the side of the old court, and are not permitted to leave the island, forever severed from the cycle. This prison was full once in the days of the Inquisition, but time weathers all things, even will. I'm the only tenant who remains. Yet, I feel their presence strongly now, as it was in the beginning. You have brought many of them here. They cry out for the judgment of Theos. You have struck some bargain with the gods, then.
The other gods aid me because they want Theos destroyed. I owe them no debt.
They aid you because they would bend you to their own purposes. Engwith built gods from ideals, and an ideal on its own is a grotesque and vicious thing. But these souls, these forgiven the gods have bequeathed you like chattel. They were loyal followers in life. They will be with you to the very end.
Let me ask you about something else. This place, Sun in Shadow, what is it? I could tell you what I believe, but again, it would be no proof. I have only what I have seen, and what others have told me about it. There is only one man who can tell you now, who knows it to a certainty, and you shall face him soon enough. I will leave you to see it for yourself, make your own judgments. Better for your soul that way, I think. How is it you speak Adyran? I speak no language now but the wordless expressions of the spirit. It is through my connection to you that I am able to draw upon your words and form them as my own. Okay. Why has Theos done all this?
He cares only for the secret he keeps locked away. He destroys anyone who might discover it, no matter their chances. That's why he's always favored Woedica. It isn't in her love of promises or justice. It's her disregard for the rules. Her willingness to do what is necessary. To Theos, she's not a deity, but an ally with which to conspire. When her power waxes, she does as she pleases with this realm, as well as hers. And she wants that secret guarded as much as he. If Theos succeeds, there will be a shift in the balance of power among the gods. Woedica was vanquished once, when the other gods decided she had gone too far, and her power diminished. With this infusion, there is no telling what she will do. The only certainty is that there will be chaos in their realm, as well as ours.
How can I get Theos to tell me what I need to know?
You will not find a more resolute being on all of Eora. There is no offer you could make, nor spell you could cast, nor pain you could inflict that would make him reveal what he hides. But I see you have become a watcher in this life. Perhaps in defeat, when he can no longer defend himself, you might learn something from him.
It's time for me to go.
Theos will not wait for you. If you do not catch up to him now, you may never find him again.
Then I will waste no more time. Farewell, Eora.
Your soul deserves an end to its suffering. I'm sorry I wasn't able to grant it myself. May it come to you swiftly. If ever we should meet again, in this life or any other, I hope to find you at peace.
Empty.
So, it's true. The gods are a sham that people have followed for thousands of years. Doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. From 15 years ago, if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace, would we still have gone to war?
People were starving, they'd have rebelled sooner or later.
Happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded.
See, here, this dialogue voice line starts at in the middle of happening. So that bug is still around, it's really weird. I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded. He looks down at the ground, drumming his fingers against his side restlessly. When he speaks again, it seems half to himself.
Oh.
I don't know.
We, had a fight. As brothers will.
His gaze remains low, distant. When Woden left for war, Edir's throat catches. He takes a slow breath. We had a fight, as brothers will. What about?
He was set on it. My parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your god, you only get the one.
About him going off to war.
I know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one.
Me, I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. Edir bites his lower lip. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one.
Thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his god one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then, he was gone.
Said every vicious thing I could think of trying to change his mind. He brushed it off, just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. That's what he said.
Months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field.
Hello, Biblio. How's it going? Do you think he went to Widewind because of what you'd said to him?
You live in a place like Gilded Vale. You don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about.
Crossed my mind, he said.
I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know.
So if you'd left with him, you'd have known why he changed his mind.
He did, so I don't know why I bother thinking about it.
If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so I don't know why I bother thinking about it.
He left. Said if I went with him, he'd make sure we were on the right path. And he deserved that. He deserved that trust from me.
He scrapes the tops of his fingernails back and forth softly across his jawline. He asked me to trust him the day he left, said if I went with him, he'd make sure we were on the right path, and he deserved that. He deserved that trust from me.
Walk on your own. I think I'd have liked to have been there with him on that journey. Even knowing how it ended.
He squints, his eyes searching. Red Zeros is a long way to walk on your own. I think I'd have liked to have been there with him on that journey, even knowing how it ended. Let's be on our way.
Wait now. Come on then. I still owe you one.
Ah, still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on then, I still owe you.
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us to put our faith in a pantheon of gods that never deserved it in the first place.
People need something to believe in. The gods, however they came to be, have served that purpose.
I'm surprised to hear you say this. It seems that much harm comes from imposing authority where perhaps none is needed. We've seen the atrocities that members of the Leaden Key have committed without even understanding why or for whom they act.
For once, the half-souled elf is right. To live in ignorance is to allow the gods to have their way with us.
I've also been thinking.
There won't be much left of Theos by the time you're done with him, if I know how you operate.
Hello,
I
Tom.
leave the Leaden Key headless. Perhaps it's best it stays that way.
He looks back at you out of the corner of his eyes. Do what you think is right.
Then let's face Theos. When this is all over, I'll make sure that no one is able to commit his abuses again.
Yes?
Yes? We'll probably do another stream today. Because, this is the end of the game.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we note a rather sharp drop somewhere around here?
We'll probably play some Eth. For a while. No new hot release? No, the only thing...
Surprises, aren't you?
Look at the size of this place.
We light our own path now, Watcher.
I had something in my eye. I missed most of it.
The only new thing that I've seen that's out is a game called Pentiment that Obsidian made. Same developers who made this. But I didn't really feel like buying it because it looks special. Let's just put it that way. It was a little bit too expensive for what I was seeing. But I'm working myself through the Ys games so that we can play Ys 8 and also Ys 9, which is the new release. Within Shade.
Good shot with this.
Because it's not what anyone expected, that's why.
That's not very helpful.
Well, can't be worse than the boot of Paradox. Oh, what's going on? Shadow Drake? Oh, shit. Spirits. No, there's spirits. I can't AoE nuke spirits.
That's not very helpful.
Oh. Knock the dragon down for 17 seconds. Alright, let's finish everything else off first. Oh. Bye. I'm way over leveled because I didn't pick the high level version of this, because every single time we've picked the high level version, it's been terrible. I don't want to do it again. I hate that thing. Game should just be played in the line, not trip to the White March. The shadows in the cavern suddenly lengthen and swallow you. When your eyes adjust to the darkness, you find yourself in the midst of what must be another vision. You are surrounded by mists. The ground feels springy under your feet. You imagine that as soon as you take a step, the soil behind you will erase all trace of your passage. As if on cue, the mists before you clear just enough for you to take a couple steps forward. You do, and the fog closes behind you. You continue for several minutes in this manner, one step at a time, never seeing more than the ground right in front of you. Eventually, rays of light cut through the haze, and you find yourself facing a canyon wall. Adir's head twists suddenly, as though something had flown in front of his face. What's that? Something whizzes past you. Just as you turn, you catch another whir of movement. Out of the mist flits a shape, small and round. You think you see another, and another. They tickle the corners of your vision. You turn back to the canyon wall. The sun shifts along its path, and what looks like a smooth rock face is the hollow of a cave. A figure steps out, its features shifting and changing before your eyes. The figure transforms from male to female, from Orlan to Aumaua, its bones lengthening and its fur receding into its flesh. The only detail that remains constant is the smooth, eyeless face. The whizzing, rushing shapes from the mist converge on the figure, and as they form a spinning cloud, you realize that they are eyes.
Your very past is a mystery. You bury it deep, reinventing yourself with each new path. You unravel a thread, Watcher. One you have lost and discovered over generations. And following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning.
The eyes track you even as they circle the god. Speak plainly. Whale giggles, a strangely modulated sound that rises and falls as the god shifts from one form to the next, and drain the meaning from the end you have almost achieved. Your search for answers to your past has led you to another mystery, and one grander still. am here to stop Boudica from tipping the balance of power. Which means that you must scatter the very thing she seeks.
A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Boudica's question and the beginning of yours. What would you do with them?
Hello, Hotoko. How's it going? Barrett wants them returned to the cycle.
To live out countless lives, each old existence lost to the new. The point is never the end with that last shuddering breath, but all the years that lead up to it. Even the gods require fresh mysteries.
Whale folds its hands, grinning at you with an Orlan's needle-sharp teeth. Clouds break, and the torrent of rain washes Whale's features clean. His blank face molds itself again, taking on the shape of something you've never seen before. Do not consign the souls to the fate of some god's choosing. You have found them. Now scatter them across existence, their destination known to neither god nor mortal. Let them be lost again. New answers to new riddles. Behind him, the sudden downpour has carved new caves into the canyon. You say I shouldn't let a god decide their fate, but it seems you're asking me to do just that.
In a way. But something must be done, and hurling them from the machinery of other schemes is the truest course of action.
When is it time for Planescape Torment? EE? Never. I've already played Planescape, and I hated it. And the enhanced editions are garbage. I would never play any of them. Farewell, Whale.
That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
The shifting face laughs. Shadows from the new caves melt and spread across the landscape, covering you in darkness. When the light returns, the vision is gone. Rather, I have already streamed Planescape Torment. A lone segment of the bridge rises over the ruins of an ancient city. It looks stable enough, but the wide gap leaves little room for error. Jump to the freestanding segment. Sagani gets a running start and leaps over the gap. However, Sagani cries out upon landing and collapses on the other side in a tangle of limbs. Good job, Sagani. Ring of Overseeing. Oh, I was not supposed to go there. Sagani misjudges the distance and falls short. Sagani manages to grab the jutting lip of the bridge, legs dangling over empty space. With a painful gasp, Sagani climbs to safety. It sucks. She broke 2 things just doing that for like 1 camping. Whatever. When it comes to CRPGs, the next ones we're gonna play is Deadfire, obviously, Pillars 2, and Tides of Numenera.
Yes?
My mouse is broken, it keeps double clicking. For annoying. Oh, is that another dragon? Let's see if we can knock him down as well. Oh yeah.
It's no use. I need some strong.
This thing is...
Don't even...
We can paralyze it.
Stand together!
Did you like Divinity Original Sin and its sequel? I've never finished the first game, but I don't really like Original Sin 2. it was okay, but there's just so much weird stuff with it. I kind of liked it until chapter 3, and then I just kind of stopped losing interest. I got to the last boss, but I didn't beat it. If I were to play that, I would have to mod it. I don't know if there's a mod that does exactly what I want, but there is one that fixes at least the armor system, which is super stupid. But I would like a mod that removes the teleports. If the game didn't have teleports, it would be a lot better. Or at least just one teleport in like air or something. But no other teleports. And also the armor is an issue. It just turns into, okay, you just use physical damage on all your characters, nuke down a guy, and then you once you're through the armor, you just shoot knockdown arrows at him every single turn. But my experience is also clouded by the fact that I accidentally had gay anal sex with the dwarf at the end. Because he was the only character I was trying to be friends with. Because he was the only one that I thought was cool. And that just led to having gay sex with him.
Yes?
That was not what I wanted. That was not the plan. That was way off course. And I think the same is true for all the characters. Friendship just leads to banging them. What's down here? Nothing. But I do kind of want to replay Original Sin 2. 1, I don't know if I want to bother. But maybe 2 at some point.
Yes?
Laying low.
There aren't really that many CRPGs I think are actually good. But
are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen?
For some reason today's writers can't write a friendship. Yeah, that's because the only people who get hired are through the HR department.
I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this. If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will answer to me as well. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Slowly now. This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was. Osionis. They have held off many would-be invaders.
You are ready to give a confession?
I am ready to hear one from you.
Level up? Okay. Reaping knives. What's the level 15 one? Immune to slash damage for 15 seconds. I'm gonna take that just to reduce damage reduction here. Behold the Martyr. Foe AoE minus 8 damage reduction over 3.5 seconds. The Paladin targets a fallen ally, creating a pulsing beacon over them that increases the speed and damage reduction of all nearby allies, while decreasing the speed and damage reduction of nearby enemies. The beacon disappears if the ally is revived. If the Paladin is knocked out of battle, this ability is automatically applied to him or her. Okay. Not super cool, but also not bad. Everybody gets plus 8 damage reduction, and all enemies get minus 8 damage reduction for almost 20 seconds. Nice. So that's almost better if she dies. Spell Mastery. Shining Beacon. Shining Beacon rocks. Oh, did you get a new spell level? I thought we had the maximum spell level already. Hand of Weal and Woe. The priest calls forth a beam of light that heals allies and burns enemies caught in the ray. Okay, so this is just super Agonauster Scorcher. Symbol of Mogran. Emblazons the ground with the symbol of Mogran, periodically causing burn damage to enemies in the area and leaving them blinded. Watchful Guardian. The priest's faith becomes a wellspring of indomitability for his or her allies. When an affected ally is knocked unconscious in battle, he or she will immediately be revived and have some endurance healed. Max level spell. What should we assume that you get here? Freezing Rake. A ghostly skeletal hand rakes across the area, doing freeze damage to enemies in the area, leaving them weakened and hobbled. It says it in the area, but doesn't say area. Well, it's an area effect there, but it doesn't say like foe AoE. Minoletta's Piercing Sigil. The wizard invokes the sigil of the famed Valian wizard Minoletta. When he or she is struck in melee, the sigil retaliates with pierce damage, pushing the target back and leaving them stunned. AoE raw damage. Summon Kadabald's Blackbow. Corrode damage, jumps. Well, I'll take those two spells. Level 4 Mastery. This is the freeze paralyzed thing. It's super strong. I'll take that. Alright. But also when it comes to CRPGs, I kind of judge them more by the writing and the role-playing in them now than I do like the actual gameplay mechanics. And this one is like, it's not really that great when it comes to the writing and the RPing. That's why I prefer both, as I've mentioned from 100 million times, Tides of Numenera and Disco Elysium, because I think the role-playing is way better, even if they barely have any gameplay. Hello, Robert. You have come to a circular room, grand and domed, its walls lined with Adra and trimmed with copper. At the far end, a great pillar of Audra pierces the floor from below like a ragged spike, its shimmering texture giving the illusion of boundless depth. Your thoughts are yours and not yours, and they are all questions. At the base of the pillar stands Theos, a look of concern on his face as he notes your approach. You have something you want to ask him, one question above all others, spinning madly in your mind, but you don't dare ask it yet. You need some admission from him first, some hint of the veracity of your suspicions.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here?
Your mind races, weighing different angles of approach, your emotions barely in check. That machine behind you, what does it do?
It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it.
What is this place?
We are in a sanctum holy to Utica. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me.
All these statues, who are they of?
They are monuments to Utica's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself one day, but my work is not yet complete.
Was the Avara telling the truth?
That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed everything to build.
The entire Inquisition based on a lie?
The Inquisition was based on the need to cut the flesh from a rotting wound.
You are shaking now, having lost all patience for tact. No more evasions. You have to know everything you believed, everything you have done for the gods. Did you lie to me when you said the gods would absolve my sins? Theos says nothing. Are there no gods?
What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things.
Theos' face remains a mask of impassivity. With Theos' every word, you find yourself losing control of a boiling cauldron of rage and doubt and fear and hopelessness, until you can take it no more. Are there no gods?
We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months.
With maddening calm, Theos puts an index finger to his lips.
You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over, and I will have need of you.
Yeah, he's a really good voice actor. He has a really good reading voice. And accent.
There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them.
Eyes linger on you, and there is no mistaking the threat behind it. And your rage shrinks at the image of an iron wheel in your mind, monolithic and caked with the dried blood of thousands. You do not ask your questions again.
How did you find it?
I didn't. It was Lady Webb.
Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason.
She loved you.
Then she should have obeyed. I ask one thing of all my followers. She was incapable. A waste of rare talent and intellect.
Blind obedience is a lot to ask of someone with a mind of their own.
What of your cohorts, then? They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them here? Or is it, as my agents suggest, that they have no direction of their own? You worshipped Aethys, did you not?
What gave me away? The cape?
I guess.
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
Adir frowns, irritated.
Not by anyone who was acting like a god.
We were being invaded, and not by anyone who was acting like a god. Adir's voice lines are bugged here.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
Theos gives a thin, patronizing smile.
And I think you can expect folks to get jumpy when the gods aren't there to reassure them. Maybe if they weren't all too busy trying to kill each other.
The gods argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased.
Gurren stares at Theos with a beast's snarl. Theos watches him calmly.
You built a weapon that delivered exactly as promised.
I served my goddess as you did yours.
Yet the other builders were slain, 11 of a dozen. Why not you? Were you somehow different? Redeemable in your god's sight?
Whatever desire I had to be redeemed in her eyes was weakness, purged by the Watcher's sight.
Or was it merely that your goddess wanted you dead as well, and your delusions of importance prevented you from seeing the obvious?
A whore's beguiling charms, nothing more. But the spell's broke now, Theos. The trial's over. I know friend from foe, and I've come here now to see a foe repaid.
You were able to destroy a god because another god wished it. Without her hand to guide you, you could not strike at a god any more than you could strike the sky. You are impotent, and not just from the pox. I understand your Duke's bells gave you a mission.
Theos' sudden attention causes Pelagina's feathers to ruffle.
Their orders do not absolve me of my greater responsibility to the safety and well-being of the Republics.
Pelagina lifts her head defiantly. You might want to skip over this one, Theos. Don't want to pick a fight you can't win.
Yet you disobeyed. Something you already have a reputation for. They will know, of course. If it had been for a worthy cause, they might have forgiven you. But I don't see them pursuing animancy after seeing what it's done here. They trusted you, and you disappointed, as you always have. And you will again be disowned.
The parents scold, but the children are safe. Whether animancy research continues in the Republics or not, they will survive. For now, that's enough.
He's loud.
In any case, I wouldn't be so smug about my fate, Theos. I imagine Boudica responds to disappointment much more severely than even my dukes.
She takes a long step forward, a sinister smile spreading across her face.
State your name and purpose, young acolyte.
Sight of Aloth, Theos' mouth twitches derisively.
My name belonged to the gods and my hand to their service. No more.
Aloth's eyes darken.
You serve none but yourself. Without contact with your order, you can have no higher purpose. Only the base concerns of the flesh. You have cast yourself from our ranks.
And I should have done it years before. I'd rather live in uncertainty than servitude.
And that uncertainty would lead you where it leads everyone. To doubt, to emptiness, to the many cruelties inspired by disbelief. You will have to forgive your Grandmaster for remaining skeptical of his initiate's choices. You are far from home, dwarf.
Theos looks down at Sagani. You like the tale of Jonolith Irenicus in BG2 then? Yeah, more or less. That was fine, I think. I mean, I don't mind. But Baldur's Gate 2 is a bit lacking when it comes to role-playing. Like, having more in-depth role-playing is a pretty modern thing, I think. Like, both Kingmaker, Numenera, and Disco Elysium, they are going a lot harder on that. And that's why I like them. That there's like many different ways to roleplay your character and many ways to approach things. Now, both Numenera and Disco Elysium are more visual novels than anything else. they kind of skipped the combat gameplay and focused more on role-playing dialogue gameplay, which I thought was kind of fun.
I knew my hunt would send me a long way from Masuk. It was a challenge I was glad to undertake for my village.
A journey, then? It must be of some import to take you so far and to last so long.
It's important to Masuk, and so it's important to me.
You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives.
He directs his gaze at you.
I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago.
What do you know of our business?
You think your abilities only flow in one direction. That isn't how it works, I'm afraid. Not for me. For all that you saw of my soul in the sanitarium, I saw as much of yours.
I lived my life by the lies you told. You owe me the truth.
I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it.
Denied a generation its place in the world.
The heart of this country has skipped a beat. Nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Telosus into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin. When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls.
This is supposed to diminish the damage you've done here?
It is to show the proper perspective. There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slain. Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith.
Tasted.
All that changed when they learned of the true gods. Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our god's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark.
Spark of false hope.
There is no false hope. Only hope for things that never come.
Original Fallout 1 and 2, I haven't played them in ages. Couldn't say.
Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves. But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness. No endings to bring closure. Only a wheel, turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to dust.
Theos no longer looks at you as he speaks. The reflection of the ancient machine flickers and dances in his eyes. Better that than live a lie.
Telling yourself each day that what you do matters, that it isn't all for nothing, that the world is just. The apostate's world is built on believing lies. All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way.
You must be stopped.
You are not the first to say that, nor will you be the last. As long as the cycle churns, my work will continue, unbroken. With your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world purged of its suffering. Hear me, Woodica. Your servant calls for aid.
Theos puts his hands out low to either side, as though welcoming some unseen guest. He shuts his eyes and casts his face skyward.
Roach 10!
No! No! Big super demons. Oh, auto pause. Fuck. Resistance. Charmed, confused, dazed, dominated. So he's not immune to it. Alright. Give that a go. Sounds funny. You can do Sundering Blow. Symbol of Magron. So this just does damage. He casts Cleansing Flame. I can also cast Cleansing Flame. I'm gonna cast Watchful Presence. What about you? Okay, so this targets everyone. Said foes, but sure. Wait for Aloth to finish being knocked down. A dog is dying. Oh, the dog has the super spell on him. Got the evil, angry, cleansing flame. My character got knocked down. How's that gonna last? Seconds. And now I'm dead. That spell, it's so broken. I kind of feel like it's bugged. Because it does 103 burn damage over 6 seconds. But it also has this effect that does plus 100% damage over time tick rate. So I think it does like 200 damage over time. Like over 6 seconds. Just super crazy. Damn. I missed him again. Come on. How hard can it be? Yeah, it's like 30% chance to hit. Now my healer is down. Oh, come on. Yeah. Witching Wind, raw damage. Everybody. Good to me. Now, did he use the spell again? Oh, I'm weakened. Yeah, he used Cleansing Flame again. it's completely impossible. There's no counterplay to it. It just kills you. Instantly. Deer is dead. There's no way he can come back from that. Maybe if you can knock this guy down. Nope. Again.
Yeah.
Nope. What is the odds of hitting that? Question mark, question mark. That's very good. It's almost impossible to paralyze. You know what I just noticed? Oh, come on, don't miss. Here is going down. All damage there. Oh, come on. Almost dead. Come on. There, now. Now this guy seems kind of vulnerable. What do you mean graces? Puppet Master graces Woodacre's henchman. So why is he still red then? And why does this guy refuse to die? Finally, holy shit. Oh no, he cast the spell again. Now all my characters are dead. Now imagine if I had taken the other option and made this a high level encounter. It's clearly already up. Ridiculous. In there. That thing there. Action. See if we can use the damage reduction here.
Arthek were then... Arthek were then...
Just won't die. No, he's dead. I feel like melee characters are borderline meaningless in this game. You think this one will bounce back and forth? That would be funny. It does! Fail? Got too much help. Now he's confusing me.
Oh, could use a wee kip.
Alright. Try again.
I'd be glad to.
Really where I saved. This is the quick save. No, there's an autosave at the boss.
Kroak 10!
Right at the boss even. I kind of think we just got a bit unlucky. Honest. Because dominating Theos is possible. But dominating this guy is also supposed to be possible. And I succeeded. But nothing happened. So I don't really know what to make of that. Now see, immune. Okay. That's so weird. He has plus 10 resistance to Dominated, but he is also immune to Dominated. Okay, immune there. Never mind then. By dominating him again. Oh, dude failed. I think this one is easier to kill. Why did Itumak die? Oh, he just died. I guess Itumak must have gotten hit even though he was over there when he died. I don't know, man. Wrecked him again. The dog. What the hell are you doing there? Oh no, now he's dead again. I don't know what's happening. Now let's use his spell. Oh, this guy is paralyzed for some absurd reason. Want that, I think. Oh, now he's using it. Someone's getting insta-killed. He's getting insta-killed. Yep, she's dead. Correct. Oh, he's dead. Nice. We might have a chance this time. This cat. Oh, it's still active according to that guy. I think it's bugged. Because nothing has that on it. Okay, there we go. Didn't land on Theos.
Sure.
Disintegrate. But that's against will too. No, that's against fortitude. Fortitude isn't any worse. Regardless. Has the crown there. Everyone's got that up. Also, bonus deflection. We got him this time.
Forgive me, Boudica.
At your feet rests the body of Theos. Hollow and dense wrinkled shapes. At your feet rests the body of Theos. Hollow. The dense wrinkles shaped by the silent shouldering of an eternal burden now smoothed across his color-drained face. His soul remains still for a moment, defenseless, its energy expended in defeat. It lies sprawled across his body like a death shroud.
That's the servant down, and the mistress still to go. A good start, worthy of being built upon.
After journeying for lifetimes, I can't imagine his failure, knowing it was all for nothing.
In his own way, Theos must have truly believed he was caring for the people of Eora, protecting them from themselves. A shame his soul won't have a chance to reflect on his errors before it enters the wheel.
He was good at serving his god, I give him that. He should have picked a better one.
He spent his lives, more than any of us will ever know. For what? Binding the world to a lie. Could a man like that ever be redeemed?
Explore Theos' soul. With a deep breath, you plunge into Theos' soul, and where in Brackenbury it had been a maze of narrow corridors and dead ends, now it is expansive and borderless, its walls crumbling into heaps like the ruins of Engwyth as you pass through them. You travel for what seems like ages, rushing to a known destination, a memory you glimpsed once before. At last you see it, no more than a pinprick of light at the end of a long tunnel, expanding slowly at first, then quickly as you near. You come out in the room you are standing in now, but it is new and pristine and filled with people, thousands of them, all turned toward the great altar pillar and the machine that encases it. Theos stands at the machine, you are one with him now. You look out at the crowd, to faces of shriveled old men and carob-cheeked little girls. At mothers bouncing infants to quiet them and fathers clasping their children's restless hands and watching you with somber acceptance. A woman with tears in her eyes gives you a small nod. You turn back towards the machine, your breaths constricted beneath the weight of unwanted knowledge, preparing yourself to set out alone on a journey without end. You close your eyes and open them again to find the machine still in front of you, beckoning. You take your place in front of it and place your hands upon a large mechanical disc at the base of the great crystal column and speak a single word. Giant rings creak to life, building speed, setting arrays of carved draconic mouths aglow, and sending tremors through the platform beneath you. The entire room shakes now with the force of the accelerating machine, all sound drowned out by its deep, deafening thrum. Brilliant tendrils of light arc outward from the pillar in all directions, and you look over your shoulder to see them engulfing the crowd, burning them brightly like hot iron. One by one the tendrils disappear, leaving ashen effigies where people once stood, many of them disintegrating into grey heaps under the stress of the tremors. You look above to the outer pillar, and a glowing spherical mass has begun to coalesce atop the column where the arcs converge. It grows and pulses, translucent and bulbous, that's how you say it, bulbous, like some immense chrysalis, suspended in low rotation as though it were being spun from the arcs of light. When the last arc disappears, the spectral mass hangs a moment, no longer rotating, so bright you must shield your eyes with an outstretched hand, and it seems to you as though it is looking at you. You bow your head in acknowledgement, and look back up to see it melt into the pillar like warm candle wax. The pillar flares with a flash of light, bright as the sun itself, then fades to darkness. The machine slows down to an abrupt halt, and when the last echo of its grinding cogs has passed, the chamber is still, and you are alone. From all sides, reality begins to bleed in through the memory, and you find yourself in your own skin once more, looking down on Theos' lifeless body. You sense a listlessness to Theos' soul, an overwhelming fatigue that hinders its immediate escape and makes it vulnerable to manipulation. You feel as though your victory has given you some kind of hold over it and you're able to do with it as you please. Brave Elmon, that was the prison, right? I do not envy you, Theos, so I of all people realize the sway memories can hold. It is time you were granted peace. Tear his soul apart.
This is a mercy.
It is an ending. even if there is little justice in it.
You reach out for Theos' soul, and you can feel its frailty in defeat. Its texture like a coarse and threadbare cloth on the brink of disintegration. You insinuate yourself between the threads, pushing the weaving apart, unraveling the stitching until it is bereft of structure, a formless heap bound together by nothing at all. In its midst, you dedicate your focus to a single idea, and the idea is shatter. You concentrate, and as you concentrate, you feel a force building within your soul, an outward pressure that strains against containment, threatening to rupture your spirit. When you can contain it no more, you transfer it into Theos' soul all at once and release it there. A detonation of will that expands in all directions, driving out the remnants of his essence, scattering it into nothingness. You can feel his presence no more. In the stillness that follows, a single word echoes through your mind. A word you spoke when you were one with Theos in an ancient memory. You realize it is the word that activates the machine.
Aloth! Shit!
What did Aloth do?
Yes?
Did he die? Someone said Aloth. Shit.
Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him?
I got an answer to an old question.
Those can be hard to come by. I feel for people still looking for theirs. Easy to see what it means to them to have someone to look to for answers. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that?
Yes.
Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. You can take my word for it. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd send every last one of those souls right back where they were supposed to go in the first place. So folks could get back to believing what they used to. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make it good.
He winks.
So much for Theos, then.
The membranes of Pallegina's golden eyes sweep out and retract as she gazes into the great machine.
Now you have a chance to set things right, back to the proper order of things. It will take the Dyrwood generations to recover, but at least these souls will find their way back to the wheel, as it should be.
Ah, the end of the road greets us at last. You fared well, Watcher. Better than any Watcher has right to. Seems you were a field in need of a flame's cleansing. Would that my own trial had produced such an outcome. I had figured myself for the field all this time. But you were the field, and I the darkness. A lesson neither of Durance nor of Margarin. But with that trial's end, a new one begins. A god's trial. And I will stand in judgment without mercy.
Now I'm a bit sad because we skipped killing the dragon in the keep, and that means that we failed that. So we'll see.
Astounding. I always knew the Leaden Key stood for something big, but I didn't quite realize what I'd gotten myself into. And now, but even if you send the souls somewhere specific now, who knows what the next turn of the wheel will make of them? We can't really control what happens to them. Nor should we try. I had to see the monster Theos had become to realize that.
So?
It's your decision, of course. And whatever you decide, I'm glad our paths crossed in Gilded Vale.
Never thought I'd see something like this in my travels. Lends a little perspective, doesn't it?
She shakes her head, marveling at the great chamber all around you.
It's a bitter thing to have come so far only to find that it was all for nothing. Somehow, I don't think we're any better off knowing what we do.
Gazes ruefully at the outer pillar. What now?
I guess that's up to you, isn't it? Because I'm too short to reach the controls on that thing. For all I know, when you flip the switch, that thing will blast us all as far as Nasitak. Whatever happens, though, I'm glad we journeyed together.
I told you I'd get you home.
So you did. It's been an honor.
All right.
Absolutely.
With your companions bearing witness, you step up to the place where Theos once stood before his people long ago. The great machine lies in front of you, idle, ready. You have seen this machine and others like it in operation. You understand how it works. It is a device for directing souls. As a watcher, it would be a simple matter to influence that direction, though, as big as the machine is, it may be the last thing you ever do. Speak the command to activate the machine. There is a shrieking of stone grinding against stone, as old cogs loosen and begin to turn. You have only moments before this soul will be sent into the outer vein, or before the souls will be sent into the outer vein. This will be your only chance at redirecting them. Send the souls back into the reincarnation cycle. You close your eyes and expand your perception outward, taking in the immense totality of the tens of thousands of souls orbiting the chamber. Your grasp on the souls is tenuous. You find yourself fighting to keep them all within your influence, and you can feel them slipping away from you as the machine gains speed. A brief moment comes when it feels as though you hold all of them at once, and their force is so great it feels as though they will tear you apart. In that moment, you dedicate your entire being to bending their orbit, channeling their flow in a new direction.
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun in Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Theos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Dyrwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the lost souls of the Hollowborn were funneled back into the churn of Bareth's wheel to find their way into new vessels and partake in the life they had been denied during Whitewind's legacy. Though parents of Hollowborn would remain just that, the end of Whitewind's legacy would bring about a spate of new, healthy births, with many of the infants bearing souls once meant for Hollowborn children. The natural cycle of life and death had been restored to Dyrwood, and with it came a renewed faith in the providence of the gods. With the birth of his Hollowborn child, the last threads of Lord Radric's sanity frayed and broke apart, his wife the first victim of his wrath. With a fortress to protect him and a garrison of loyal soldiers at his command, he continued to snuff out all signs of resistance from the citizens of Gilded Vale, real or perceived. In the end, all would hang from the boughs of the village's trees, watching over their dead town with vacant eyes.
I skipped that.
Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But order was soon re-established by the Knights of the Crucible, who, despite their depleted numbers, had gained favor in the public eye for their role in the unraveling of the conspiracy surrounding Whitewind's legacy, and were quickly reinforced by returning forces from Fleetbreaker Castle. For the Knights, their resurgence marked a return to the tradition as well. Having seen firsthand the dangers presented by dabblers in animancy, the Order quickly abolished the practice internally, preferring the familiarity of their hammers and forges to the uncertainties of Essence and Adra. Their identity rediscovered, the knights suppressed their political aspirations and began once again to train their recruits in the art of blacksmithing, recapturing the post-revolutionary ideals of Deerwood and regaining the respect of its citizens as a result. The destruction of the machine atop Ter Noaneth spelled the end of the reanimated corpses in Heritage Hill. Though at first few were willing to venture into the abandoned district, it was soon cleaned out and rebuilt. The district's horrors still fresh in people's minds, it would be some time before it was fully repopulated. But eventually the lure of cheap prime land would all but erase the memory. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an Animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay, and few Animancers survived the first day. Many Deerwoodans took the end of Widewind's legacy as a sign, both that the gods did not approve of Animancy, and that the purging of Animancers in Defiance Bay had been enough to satisfy them. In time, their rage would subside, and a number of surviving Animancers remained in and around Defiance Bay, often taking to the wilds to practice their science without repercussions.
No, this is just the end.
The town of Deerford had seen the last of the cult of Scan. Dark rumors about the town's many curses quickly faded, and travelers soon returned.
Just telling what happened.
The Hollowborn Scourge ended,
all the areas,
and healthy children were born once more in the villages of the White March. Yet this new generation displayed an uncanny vigor and a hunger for exploration. In time, they would push across the White March, establishing new towns and restoring forgotten settlements. What had once been a region in decline became a thriving frontier, known for its famous artisans and
White March 2?
With her newfound energy, Tana oversaw the restoration of Stalwart's mines faster than any could have expected. As word spread about Durgan's battery, artisans and smiths came to rely on the village's steady supply of ore. Their coin paved wide roads,
everybody dies after this,
and renewed hope for the people of Stalwart. Even as Stalwart memorialized the discovery of the White Forge, the arrival of the Watcher became an even more celebrated occasion. For the Watcher had given them not only Durgan's battery, but also hope for their own village. Maneha never found the Salt Well, but she found a kind of peace in her duties as a gift-bearer, and in the ebb and flow of her journeys. As she traveled and accepted burdens from Andra's supplicants, she saw in their eyes a kind of peace that she had not previously noticed. It was faith, not that Andra had freed them of their pain, guilt, and regret, but that she would, a little more each year. With that realization, Maneha learned to accept that Andra's ways were as gradual as they were inexorable. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every Thane and Earl in Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwoodinians. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries.
Just in time.
Reputed as the finest fortress in all Deerwood, people would journey from near and distant lands alike to experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur. Palagina had gone against the Duke's Bell's orders by inventing a new trade arrangement with the Anamenfath to accommodate the recovering Deerwooden market. With the Deerwood's people still weakened by Widewind's legacy, the Valian republics easily pushed their would-be competitors out of the market. For her outrageous insubordination and audacity, Palagina was banished from the republics. She traveled north in the Eastern Reach, avoiding Valian ports and entering the ranks of the kind wayfarers. Despite her bravery and dedication to those in her care, her strange appearance made her feel like an outsider wherever she went. Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Through a number of quiet inquiries, he soon found his way into the underground organization of Aethasians known as the Night Market.
No, I gave up.
Ironically, in learning that the gods had been fabricated, Adair found his faith in Aethus renewed, and that his god was neither alive nor truly a god had become irrelevant. He rose quickly through the ranks of the Night Market for his optimism and for his bold leadership, his ultimate goal to make the Deerwood a place that would welcome followers of the Shining God once again.
I got to the monk stronghold,
Dust
and I just
settled in sun
couldn't be
and
arsed.
shadow.
It was too
Path
ass.
looked upon the remains of Theos Ixarchanon, his former master. He saw where the Grandmaster had gone wrong, and what would be required to undo the harm Theos had wrought. With a flick of his wrist, he burned Theos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience to an authority they did not understand. Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long and lonely task of dismantling the Leaden Key. With the Watcher's goals accomplished and his own vows fulfilled, Kanarua sailed back to Dakoa. His friends and family found him much changed, for a pall had fallen upon the man, smothering his former enthusiasm. Called before the Lore College, Kana told them of the pain the Engwithan legacy brought to the lands abroad. He insisted that a search for answers abroad could only fragment the Rawatai people, as it had done to the Deerwood. His findings were met with much respect, and Kanarua's voice came to be considered an influential one in the growing move towards Rawatai's isolation.
Can't really talk right
Theos
now.
defeated and the souls released from sun and shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Deerwood. The grieving mother sought a place where she might do penance for the birthing bell. She returned to Deerford, where, to the astonishment of the villagers, she delivered the first healthy child in over a decade. She remained there, and with each new birth, she saw a measure of hope restored to the Deerwood, and a measure of grace for her own troubled past. Durrance used Magrin's strength only until Theos had been cast from the world, and then swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. The charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. In her 4-month journey back to Nositoc, Sagani found that the landscape she traveled had become strangely colorless, the food bland and unsatisfying. She watched the Deerwood, Air Glonfoth, the Valian Republics, and the lands beyond slide by with a dull sense of dread.
I kind of hate this.
She returned home to great celebration, yet the words of joy and congratulations...
That just feels like I failed her.
Old beloved songs sounded toneless.
Maybe not.
Rituals of changing seasons became drudgery, and Sagani experienced her life back in Masuk as if in someone else's skin. So she fought to feel the worth of her actions, or at least to let her village feel them. She led ever longer and more ambitious hunts, mentoring the younger rangers who followed her. On one such expedition, her party was beset by a blizzard, and she pressed on where her companions turned back. She did not return to Masuk.
I finished it.
For you, the death
This is the end of the game.
brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. Unfortunately, you would have little time to contemplate the matter. Soon after your victory at Sun and Shadow, rumors of a monstrous army swept the Deerwood. What first sounded like superstition and drunkards' tales turned out to be much more. Enormous creatures of flesh and iron found you and brought the walls of your keep down upon you.
Oh, I didn't finish the White March 2 and I didn't kill the master below. But yeah, that's the end. Yeah, I didn't finish the White March 2. Because I just couldn't be arsed. Again, like, the story was garbage. The first chapter was absolute dog shit. There was no point to it at all. And the second one also felt completely a waste of time. But not only that, I picked the like high-level balancing for it. And on hard, it was just cancer. Like, I just could not be arsed. When we were fighting the monks, the monks would just like teleport to somebody and then they would just like chain stun them to death. Couldn't even get 2 spells off before half my team was dead. And I just didn't feel like doing it. So. But, yeah. That's the end. That's the end of the game. But yeah, I think I've been disappointed every single time with the companion like conclusions at the end, because it like half of them just feel like you failed. And you didn't, because there was no more quests. Like there was nothing else you could do. But the game is like super random at progressing their storylines. There's just like you can't progress it for the most part. It just kind of does. Especially with Durance, for example. He just like gets random dialogues now and then. Yeah, I found the white stag. I guess I wasn't like encouraging enough or something. She just got sad, but whatever. But I guess. But I think that also. Well, I don't know. Because on one hand, what I want out of the role-playing and the choices in a game like this is that if you want to have outcomes, I don't really want any of the outcomes to be a failure, in a sense. I just want them to be different outcomes. And that's kind of what I feel here. Like, oh, you didn't kill the Master Below? Too bad. Failure. Oh, you didn't finish White March 2? Too bad. Failure. Everything burnt to down. Everything burnt down. Burnt to ash. It's over. And the same is true for a lot. But a lot of the characters actually didn't have endings like that. Like the ones I ignored from the White March, for example. The monk apparently didn't have anything. And neither did the Golem girl. Well, I didn't bring her, but I did bring the monk. But like the blue lady, she at least just like lived her life. She didn't die, she didn't get crippled or anything. Because we didn't help her out. And honestly, even though Pelagina felt like a failed state, I guess she kind of lives with it, I guess. It's fine. And I kind of just let her make her decisions. That was what I did. So her decisions led to her own downfall. So I guess, in my opinion, that is the canon ending. So that's fine too. Well, it's not that I need help, it's that if I ever want to finish it, I'm not gonna pick the fucking high level balancing option. Because that's that plus hard was the issue. Because the problem with playing on hard and like scaling things up too much is that it kind of wrecks the balance of the game, and it doesn't make it more like skill based or anything like that. It makes it more restrictive on what are acceptable strategies and builds. And I just kind of don't like playing that way. So honestly, playing on hard was a bit of a mistake, I think. Or at least the high level thing was a mistake, if nothing else. Because I was level 14 and it was still too hard, by far. Even trying to like mass confuse them and stuff, like it didn't work. They just didn't get confused. Nothing happened. Story companions were more like the problem. Yeah, I guess. But I don't really want to play it without them. I don't really... That's not why I play the game, to be honest, so... I don't really feel like that's why I'm never gonna play Path of the Damned, because I I don't really just want to play it for the fights. I honestly don't really like the battles that much, even though I do think it has probably the best CRPG combat system. I still don't really want to play it for the battles. I think there's way too much fighting in this game. There's just garbage fights everywhere, all over the place, all the time. I don't know what I really think about that. I want battle to be more like tied into the story and the writing, more than just, oh, there's a bunch of fucking dragons all over the place. You always end up having to play in one sort of way. Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's actually kind of hard to make balanced like difficulties. I usually always play games on normal just because of that, but I picked hard because I played it on normal like 3 times before, so I think hard was still fine. I think it was less hard that was the problem, and the fact that I picked the high level balancing, because what I read is that it just like adds a bunch of levels to them. So if I hadn't done that, maybe they wouldn't have hit 100% of all their attacks and chain stunned all of my characters to death as much. Yeah. I mean, I was close, but I still... Like, I honestly... I know I'm not gonna like it, because... I can't like it. Because it doesn't matter how cool the ending is. I still won't like it because it's not tied to the main game at all. Like, if White March 1, if that had actually been tied to the Leaden Key, that could have been fine, because then it would have been more like actual world building when it comes to expanding the Leaden Key a bit. But they kind of just mentioned that Leaden Key agents were snooping around, and then there were no Leaden Key agents there. So it just had nothing to do with anything. Like, it was just a side quest. And that just, I don't really go for that. So. But I do wish we didn't do the White March, because it really, really soured my expectation or my experience. So now I have a hard time like judging the game as a whole, but I still think it's mostly fine until the end. The end is just a little bit, it's just too rushed, and that's just the problem there. But I just want to see if 2 like serves as a nice continuation of it, so it doesn't just feel like, oh, this is where it ends, so it also continues, because that way it might not feel as bad then. See more stuff there. Like I said, I haven't played that one before, so this is a lot of Kickstarters. Well, that'll be it for today. Well, not for today. For like 10 minutes. Because I'm gonna... You're there? Nice. It says the Biblio... I don't know how to pronounce your name in English. The Bibliophilia is somewhere in there. Some say the story is atrocious. Oh, we'll see. Oh, you haven't? I would have assumed you had, considering how well-traveled you seem in this game. But we're not gonna do that today. I'm also trying to continue playing Ys. So I'm gonna restart the stream, and we're gonna play a little bit of Oath in Felghana, because that game is pretty short, so we're gonna polish that off, and maybe Ys 5 after. Between the 2 games. Also, just so I get a little break on the mouse arm, so I can play with the gamepad for a while. But that's it for Pillars of Eternity 1. Force Kibbs to play? No, Kibbs does what he wants. But yeah.